But what you guys were doing, because you're writing about such huge topics, is that I think you were a little bit worried about writing small, because your topics are so huge. You were kind of racing over a lot of small moments, racing past them, trying to kind of come up with stuff that's big enough for your topic. Okay, and remember that what I said to you is, the bigger the topic, the smaller we need to write. We talked about that child who wrote about his cat who died, and he ended up writing about by talking about how he went into his sandbox, opened up the sandbox and found the footprints still left after his cat had died, right? And how his whole piece was just looking at those footprints and realizing that they too were going to wash away. Okay, and I remember yesterday I said to you, when you're writing about something really, really big, you need to write small. Okay, and today what I want to teach you is that I want to remind you, is that you're writing memoir. So ultimately, the story that you're writing is not about the event. The story is the person to whom the event happens. It's really common when you're writing about yourself to do what you guys are doing, which is you're leaving out just one person, and that's yourself. Max, when you're writing about your tree fort, your old clubhouse and the magnolia tree, you're not just writing about the clubhouse and the magnolia tree. You're writing about the boy who used to climb up into that magnolia tree, okay? And Adam, when you're writing about your big brother going off to college, you're not just writing about your big brother going off to college. You're also writing about the little brother who's left home, okay? Every one of you, you're really, in the end, you're not just writing about the events that happened to you, you're writing about you. So I want to give you a little bit of tips about how to make sure that you bring yourself out in the stories that you're writing, okay? And what a writer once said to me, he didn't really say it to me, I read it in a book, but sometimes when I read things in a book, it's like they're talking to me, okay? What this writer said to me, he said to me, Lucy, he said, the words you write first are anybody's words. You have to make them your own. So last night I was thinking about Jessica's writing, and I was thinking about that. Remember that piece that we read, the entry we read yesterday about, I walked in the house, it was 3:05, I glanced at the clock, it's 3:05. I took off my soccer shoes, I ran upstairs, and I read for 5 minutes. And I was thinking that that's exactly how I write my first drafts, okay? But that kind of writing, it kind of could be anybody's house. What you need to think about is, how can I write this story so it can't be anybody's house? It's just my house. My son Miles just finished working on his college essay to try to get into college, and he wrote about walking into my parents' house at Christmas time. And this is how he described it. I walked into the big kitchen. Christmas cards rick-racked all the doorways, and dogs, 6 or 8 of them, lay curled under every table. Cousins of all shapes and sizes were perched on every free bit of space. Do you begin to get a picture that this is not like anybody's kitchen? Okay, and a parrot squawked from his cage in the corner. You know, hello Charlie, hello Charlie. Can you picture that? That's like a very particular kitchen. But I walked in the kitchen, I glanced at the clock. It's 3:05. I took off my soccer shoes. I went and read a book. That's like anybody's kitchen. Do you see what I mean? So one thing to do to make sure that you bring out yourself is remember that the words you write first are anybody's words. And you can rewrite them to make them your words, right? To say, what is my kitchen like? What is my bedroom like? What's my clubhouse like, okay? Then the second thing is that that's true also for actions, that you can write actions and they can be anybody's actions, or you can write actions and they can be your actions, okay? So let's just say you said this. My dad and I walked over to the roller coaster, we bought a ticket and we got on it. Is that anybody's actions, or is that yours? It's anybody's, okay? Now I want you to look at the way Allie wrote the same thing. Because what I think she's done is she's written actions in a way that are not anybody's actions, but her actions. My brother dragged his feet, pulled my mom's hand. People filed out onto the sidewalk. The sun glowed on the water as it reached the horizon line. Allie, let's quick go upside down over there, my dad whispered into my ear. I peered over my shoulder at the ride. It looked really fun. It was a tunnel of twists and turns. No, not today. Come on, this is our last chance, he begged. He started to run in the way of the ride, then came to a stop and stared blankly at me. I kept walking on. After a while he followed. He came up behind me and held my hand tight. We strolled out together. I knew he was disappointed. I could tell by the way he held my hand. He held it in the way that said, "You're the only one I could go on a roller coaster with. Why don't you come?" He held it in a question sort of a way. It seemed as if he was unsure with me. Can I just stop there? Do you see how she wrote about it, and it's not anybody's ride on a roller coaster, anybody's walking over to the roller coaster, it's Allie's walking over to the roller coaster? Do you see that? So that's what I want to teach you today, is remember that you're not just writing about events. You're writing about the person to whom those events happen. And you can bring out the person if you remember to write not just what happened, but how it happened. Not just where it happened, but what the place is really like that reveals you. Okay? So right now, would you look at the piece that you wrote yesterday, and will you kind of look and see what that piece through that, look at the lens of who is the me that I brought out yesterday? Where am I in this entry? And how could I bring myself out more? Okay? And why don't you read it first just to yourself, and then turn and talk to a person beside you about what do you notice about the you that's in the piece, and what could you do to bring yourself out more? Okay, so read it quietly for a sec, and then I'll give you a time to talk.
Bring myself out more when she's in a lot of pain and she's on the floor and our dads are still coming down the hill. Because that's when I was really being brave and I was trying to help my friends.
I was writing about how they were doing the obstacle course I set up for them. So it wasn't really much about me. So I think the beginning is okay, but at the end I can work on a little more.
What'd you find when you looked at your writing? Well, yeah.
A lot that I could have explained more in detail about my relationships, not only with my brother, but with my family, so that they can get like an all-around sense.
So you're trying to think, how can you bring yourself out more? Yeah.
I think I need to remember how I looked to tell the expression, and I can use that to have more feeling in my entries when it needs it.
You know how there's a line between memoir and fiction that is kind of, you don't necessarily remember exactly what you were thinking that moment, but you can create it. You can imagine what you can kind of fill in what you probably were thinking, right? Yeah.
Well, I included a lot more setting than I really needed to. So maybe I could include a little bit more thinking and feeling.
Yeah, but I don't want you to get the idea that setting can't bring out the person. Okay, setting is a great way to bring out the person. Okay, when I'm saying bring yourself into your entries, you can bring yourself by describing the setting in which you work. Like that could be, I mean, it can reveal you. Okay, so you don't have to just reveal yourself by doing more thinking. You can reveal yourself by bringing out the setting, but the setting that shows who you are. Like when my son described the kitchen in my family's house, he's describing the setting, but it's making the kitchen be a reflection of our family. Okay, your kitchen is a reflection of your family, but you maybe didn't describe it with the telltale signs that kind of bring out how that kitchen or that bedroom or that clubhouse is a reflection of you.
Like, I figured out that I didn't tell the whole truth, how I felt in my piece. Like in Journey, Patricia McLaughlin described how Journey, felt about his grandpa and his sister and his mom. So, I think I need to express my feelings more in my story to make it better.
You need to make the truth come out a little bit more? Yeah, okay. So you all know what you need to do today then. You're going to be working on making sure that you write small enough that you can carry really big truths. Okay? You're going to be remembering that journey can be a touchstone text for you, and a lot of you will probably have that excerpt out on the table and be looking at it, studying it. And you're going to be remembering that you're writing memoir. So this is not the story of an event. It's the story of the person to whom the event happens. And you have to look at it and say, who am I in this piece? What do I want people to learn about me by reading this? And are they learning it? Okay? Off you go.